you might not want to eat while watching this video. What's up, rad people? Urban legends about fast food have existed alongside these brands pretty much since their grand openings. Every year, a new hoax or the resurgence of an old fictitious tale reemerges, leaving people questioning their lunch choices. While these stories might not be real, they are still stomach churning. So let's get to it. First, ew. Second, this urban legend has been floating around since 2004, with the details surrounding the story changing with each rehashing. The urban legend began as a chain email that posed as a warning to customers. It said to avoid the ketchup dispensers after a disgruntled man opened the dispenser, cut his hand, and dripped his bodily fluid into the batch for unsuspecting patrons to dip their french fries into. The man's gag-worthy actions were only caught after a full day of eaters enjoying the tainted ketchup. It was only discovered when someone reviewed the security footage the next night. This is one of the more tame stories on this list. This urban legend can be traced back to fictitious news sites and people sharing them on social media thinking they were real. The viral articles supposedly detailed a stomach-churning report from the CDC that linked McDonald's burgers with an outbreak in parasitic worms in their customers. If that doesn't make your skin crawl, oh wait, there's more. The fake news then went on to say, an investigation into the outbreak discovered McDonald's using ground worm filler to plump up their patties. Even though this is just a creepy story, it makes me even more happy that I stick to veggie patties. This hoax refuses to die, resurfacing every couple years to attract new believers. In 2005, a woman ordered a chili from Wendy's and said to have made a terrifying, gut-wrenching discovery: a severed fingertip mixed in. Now, it is a fact that a severed finger was presented to authorities, and it is true a woman did file a lawsuit. But it turns out the found finger wasn't due to an employee having a really terrible day. The woman concocted the scheme to get money from the company, something she had frequently done in the past with other companies. The woman and her husband ended up pleading guilty to related charges and being sentenced to prison. As for whose fingertip was found floating in the chili, a friend of the husband's, which was severed months before in an accident. On a side note, who keeps their severed finger? Time to put on our tinfoil hats for this one. A few decades back, a rumor began swirling around that the OG Ronald McDonald met an untimely death while trying out a new burger. The company was then said to have covered up his death by replacing him with a lookalike. Apparently, clown paint makes for a great disguise because most people didn't notice the new mascot. The urban legend does say that a few people did notice the switcheroo, but if they were found to talk about it, McDonald's would drop the hammer of silence on them. To add to the story, though I wasn't able to verify this, it said a couple of employees were caught discussing the urban legend with local press and were promptly fired, leading some to believe Mickey D's might be hiding something. Satirical news confuses people once again. This next urban legend can be traced back to an entertainment site that publishes fake news articles. One such fictitious piece detailed the supposed confession from Wendy's after an investigation uncovered their use of rat and horse meat to spruce up their recipes. Turns out, no such findings were, well, found, nor did Wendy's make such a statement. This article may have had humorous intentions, but it spread like wildfire on social media, and readers mistook the headline for actual news. This urban legend is actually based on true events. In the 90s, Burger King offered Pokeball promotional toys that came with kids' meals. The toy posed a suffocation hazard to small children when the two plastic pieces came apart after pulling on them. This was proven after the tragic death of a 13-month-old was linked to the toy by local authorities. it said the Consumer Product Safety Commission asked BK to recall the toys after news of the child's tragic death, but they refused, awaiting an independent investigation into the child's death. Half the ball was found to be just big enough to cover the mouth and nose of a child, and with breathing could become suctioned onto the face, causing suffocation. When a second child was nearly injured by the plastic piece, BK ended up having to recall the toy. Due to the huge popularity of the toy, it ended up being one of the largest and most expensive recalls in history. This urban legend has tons of different variations, putting different fast food chains at the center, but KFC is by far the most popular choice. According to this disturbing tale, an elderly woman went to KFC and picked up a bucket of chicken. At home, the woman took several bites before hearing a peculiar crunch. She spit out the contents of her mouth and found small teeth. Taking a better look at what she was eating, she discovered it was a battered and fried rat. The following shock caused her to have a heart attack, which resulted in her death. The urban legend concludes by saying the family sued KFC for a lot of money and settled out of court for millions of dollars if they agreed not to talk about it publicly. This urban legend has been floating around for decades. After Colonel Sanders of KFC's death in 1980, stories of him leaving money to the KKK in his will have spread. Some versions say it was a 7-figure lump sum donation, and others say it was a contract for 10% of annual profits to go to the hate-filled group long after his death. Thing is, Sanders didn't even own KFC when he died, as he sold it in 1964. Though believers of this urban legend point to his southern accent, his appearance, and the time period in which he lived as support to the claims, this urban legend isn't unique to KFC. Pretty much every fast food chain CEO has had a story spread detailing their supposed link to a horrendous group of people. Another urban legend that can be traced back to a satirical news article. Man, people just don't understand satire. This story isn't all that disturbing, but I thought it was fascinating nonetheless. Mainly at the idea that so many people would believe it. The story shared the news that Tim Hortons would be unveiling a new brand by incorporating marijuana into their menu in 2017. Because consuming edibles with your coffee while on your way to work sounds like a great business model. It seems like a random pairing, but Timbits are said to be as addictive as drugs, so maybe that's how this funny story came about. Speaking of Tim Hortons, this last urban legend tells of the production of the coffee being so top secret that you'd be fired without hesitation if it's thought you're spreading it with non-employees. While some think this is to keep others from replicating the recipe, others believe it's for much more sinister reasons. The tale says their secret ingredient can be found in cigarettes. Turns out, some people actually believe the coffee is secretly laced with nicotine to keep customers coming back for their fix. I mean, if people feel your product is so good that it has to be tampered with, that sounds like one hell of a positive review. Of course, it could just be the caffeine, which countless studies have shown is incredibly addictive. And there you have 10 fast food hoaxes and urban legends that'll leave you questioning your food choices and what you read online. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up and turn on my notification because that would really help this channel out. If you'd like to see more nightmare fuel, click the picture next to me. Until next time, keep up the radness, and I'll see you real soon. Bye!